Welcome back to Comtrack. We are back in Spooktober, and we are here with probably one of the more underrated horror thrillers of the last previous decade, 10 Cloverfield Lane. And joining us again is Sean. Hi, Sean. I'm still a little traumatized from cats. Please help me.
Well, this should get that bad taste out of your mouth.
Thank God. I'm gonna get revenge on those two as soon as I can. But yeah, man. So 10 Cloverfield Lane. Okay, so I guess we really can't talk about this movie until we've talked about the previous. And for those of you listening back home, obviously, if you don't want to just like talk about our random bullshit that we usually do in the beginning, in the description below, there's usually a sync button that'll tell you where the movie starts. So if you want to just like get to the movie already, just click on that time code below, and then you can join us right there. But in the meantime, Cloverfield, I want to hear about your memories about this one, because I'm pretty sure you have a little bit better memories of it than I do, because I saw these movies fairly late.
Nope. I went into this having never seen the first one. I've never seen Cloverfield, and I love this movie. This is great. I've seen clips and bits and pieces of Cloverfield, and I am not a big fan of the shaky camera found footage genre of filmmaking.
Or as Roger Ebert once called it, I think he called it, what was it? Yeah, La Shakily Queasy Cam.
I think my distaste for that genre mainly is due to the fact that I made the mistake of seeing Blair Witch Project in theaters. And thereafter, I was just like, well, if that's a movie, hell, anyone can make a movie.
I know, right? And the fact that it made 200% of its budget back, and like every film student is just like in the corner, just like kicking the floor and just screaming internally, like, "Fuck! Why didn't I think of this?"
Yeah,
I think the same thing happened with like Saw, because it was all one location, one character, very student film-ish, but because it played so well, everyone's like, "Give us more, and we'll give you more money," and like,
yeah, it's just like, man, like with that, it's sometimes you have a really great concept to start a franchise, and then it goes downhill very quickly. But sometimes it's like you hear great things about a horror movie, and you go and watch it, and you're like, "What? No."
Yeah. I know. Oh, speaking of which, like horror films kind of getting run into the ground, Cloverfield is no exception, unfortunately, because I take it this is the only one you've seen out of the three that they released, because there's Cloverfield, 10 Cloverfield Lane, and then there's the Cloverfield Paradox.
Yeah, I'm aware of the other ones. Haven't watched them. Really, you're going to get me on board with this the second I saw the trailer for it, because one, John Goodman is a national treasure, and I will come any day of the week to watch that man work. And two, I'm a fan of Mary Elizabeth Winstead. So when it was oh, we're going to have both of them in a bunker film together, it's like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah, let's go for it, man. Now, well, I guess I should talk about my experience with Clover, because I had seen the first one. I didn't see Paradox because I heard the reviews, and because the marketing was so vague, and the fact that it just kind of got released at the last minute on Netflix and not in theaters, that was like, oh, that's
alarm bells
sign.
are ringing.
Yeah, and when I saw the reviews, I'm like, well, that was to be expected. So, because they're trying to do this thing where each individual movie stands on its own, but it's within the same universe. And then they did Paradox, which deals with alternate dimensions and different stuff, and it's like, get your story straight here. Like, as we were actually talking about J.J. Abrams right before we went on the air, and we're like, the mystery box thing is great for marketing, like it's genius on a marketing level, but as a storyteller, dear God, is it a nightmare.
Yeah, no, I want the payoff. Like, I don't want a perpetual mystery. Give me my payoff.
Yeah, man, because, like, because, again, I watched the first Cloverfield, and I really didn't, pay attention too much to the viral marketing campaign, because I think I saw it in, like, 2012, a full 4 years after it came out in one. But honestly, because I'm not a big fan of the handheld found footage thing, because, Blair Witch Project kind of ruined that for me, too. Um, but I actually really liked Cloverfield, the first one. Believe it or not, the cinematography, while, yeah, it can get pretty disorienting, especially in, like, a dark theater, the fact that it's directed well, because Matt Reeves was at the helm of that one, and we know he did Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and the amazingly superior War for the Planet of the Apes. And right now he's doing Batman with Robert Pattinson. Really hope that turns out well.
Should be interesting.
But Matt Reeves has, in the few movies that he's done so far, has shown to me, like, this guy actually gets how to direct a movie and whatnot. So the first Cloverfield, again, while being stuck with the, cinema verite kind of style, it still actually kind of engrossed me, and they showed you just enough monster, and, just enough where I'm like, ooh, this is actually kind of fun. I just wish it was one of those things that stood on its own and wasn't a spiritual successor to this movie, because I don't know if you know the origin of this movie, 10 Cloverfield Lane. It did not start out as a script to be part of this universe. It was its own thing. It was originally called, I think, what was it originally titled? Yeah, I know, I cheat. I I use Google. It was originally called The Cellar. So, again, completely on its own, like a lot of the same tense and suspenseful psychological drama that's going on in this movie is still there. But they're like, we're going to buy the script, but we're going to somehow mash it into the universe of Cloverfield, which kind of works. I don't know.
It actually, I'm sure we'll get into it with the film, but it works quite well.
It does, in
my mind, because, one of the great concepts of this film is that things are not one thing or the other, and that's what I really like about this movie, is the fact that, it's a very obviously contained movie with the set and everything else, but
totally,
just because somebody is unhinged or crazy or off the rails doesn't necessarily mean they're lying, and doesn't necessarily mean that reality is other than what they're telling you. And I think that's one of the more interesting ways to do character and horror and things of that nature, is the fact of it's just like, allowing multiple things to be true and to, have that impact, I think really helps make things work.
Yes. Because really at the end of the day, I don't really care that this movie is connected to, this whole other movie, Cloverfield. Was really, really caught up in the moment of the movie itself, Like, I didn't really care that, because they said many, 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 many times that, excuse me, that this movie really wouldn't have the Cloverfield monster. There would be certain elements, but it's not really there. And I'm like, all right, that's fine. And when I sat down and watched it, which was an interesting time, but I'll get to that in a moment. I was like, you know what? I can just let this movie stand on its own and be a really good claustrophobic psychological horror thriller movie, because I think you actually have the benefit of, seeing it for the first time, not knowing a shred of anything about it, and just kind of sort of knowing that it is like related to this other movie, but the fact that it's so self-contained makes it so much more interesting, and and I find myself caring so much more about John Goodman and Mary Elizabeth Winstead than anything resembling aliens or kaijus or attacks on New York. All that stuff's kind of bullshit. Just let me be with these characters,
Yeah, and that's just it. Like, that's what the trailer did so well for this movie. It's just like, I don't care that it's tied to this other stuff. I care that it's actors I love in this stressed out space in this bunker having to bounce off each other. I'm like, I'm in. That's it.
Yeah. And what's really funny? When I first popped this in? I popped this in for the first time this year, just as quarantine went down in Ohio. Like, I thought, okay, you know what? If I'm gonna be, because it was like 2 weeks in during lockdown, and I was starting to get a little cabin fever, and I'm like, do I really want to just tempt the gods and just go full into my cabin fever and bathe in my angst and watch this movie? Yes, I.
Yeah, I mean, I caught this in theaters. So.
Oh, right on. So yeah, you were back there in 2016. Yeah, Well, folks, if it is, because we record this a little bit earlier, but if we're still on lockdown and it's October, here's a horror movie for you. I tell you what, because if you thought The Shining was really a really great like cabin fever movie and being stuck during an apocalypse or something, yeah, give this one a check out, because man, because I remember watching this the first time. I'm like, wow, this is so much more appropriate than I was led to believe. Like, goddamn. All right, so yeah, man, you want to start the movie? Because I'm real excited for this one.
Yeah, let's get into it.
This is easily my favorite of the ones that I've seen. Because, just to reiterate, I have not seen the Cloverfield Paradox. I think I said that already. Did I?
Yes.
I think I did. Okay. Yeah. I'm. It's been a crazy week, you guys. I'm still traumatized by the kitty cats. No. Okay. So if you guys got it like on streaming, you got the Blu-ray. Wherever you can find it, get it queued up, because we are going to hit play in 3, 2, 1, click. Oh, yeah, here we go. And then, of course, because it's one of the J.J. Abrams, Paramount is producing, naturally.
I really do love when they redid the Paramount opening logo to have the stars skimming the water. That was a great call.
That was a lot of fun, and doing it like on this crazy sunset sort of thing. Then we got Bad Robot.
Of course.
So mixed feelings about Bad Robot. Because I really want to like J.J. Abrams, and I want to like a lot of his films, but
I like a lot of his films, but yeah, you're right. There's somewhere just like, please stop.
Or like, do it better. And then getting right into it. And you know what I really love about this opening? No dialogue whatsoever. Yeah. It's all visual and it's all atmosphere. And right away we can see like measurements with like a coat design. And then we see, our main protagonist with of literally knocking over her picture of her boyfriend or fiance or whatever. And again, all music.
Mm-hmm.
No sound, no dialogue, no nothing. Which I thought was just super interesting. And it's actually to the point where I really wish this movie just was its own thing.
I mean, I don't...
It is, but it isn't.
I don't, as I said, I like the... Adding it to that universe and everything else adds a layer of complexity to it that I feel is kind of important. I'm not saying it couldn't be its own thing, but
it still is.
I like that the depth it adds to it when there's, a bigger overarching thing going on. Now, yeah, you could have made that anything. It didn't have to be tied in with, that world, but I think that there being a larger overarching event and that this just, becomes a subset of that, I think plays very well.
Mm-hmm. Man, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, she's...
Is it pronounced that way? Because there's not an E. I thought it was Winstead.
Winstead? I could be wrong. And we got The Ring. I could be wrong, honestly. Forgive me if I do butcher it, because maybe there's some really hardcore fans out there it's this, all right.
Well, I mean, I've just never heard it pronounced the way you're saying it. That's I thought it was Winstead. I could be wrong.
Winstead, Winstead. It's probably Winstead. Honestly, I'm terrible with names. But regardless, I've seen her in several other things. I've seen her, we've all seen her in...
I love the vistas here.
Yeah. But we've seen her in, Scott Pilgrim. I saw her recently and kind of liked her in Birds of Prey, the few scenes that she did. But this, I think, is probably her best performance that I've seen her in.
The, Kelvin.
Oh, yes, the Kelvin, little J.J. Abrams thing.
Yep.
Named after, I believe it was his grandfather, who he had a real big connection to. I love the way that they light this. With how it's... Cause you know what it actually kind of reminds me of with the pickup truck here? It actually kind of really reminds me of Spielberg's Duel. With the truck driver that he made.
Yeah.
Where, you don't really see the driver... And it's more suggesting that the truck itself is a little bit more of the character.
Right. Well, I mean, you have to kind of tie it together, but it's like it was an empty gas station and it pulls up right behind her.
Yeah. And I think right here we're about to get our first little bit of dialogue. Yep.
And
so
do you know who that is?
Yeah, that's actually Bradley Cooper, man.
Uh-huh. Nice little treat for fans.
Little voice cameo, which is cool. But again, I still love the fact that she does not speak. And the director was really, really smart. And when she was talking earlier, it was all just consistently silent and all music. And I thought that was a lot more consistent because, we can tune into her tone and her mood and the emotion of the moment rather than the actual words themselves. I think the words themselves would be a little distracting for that moment.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, the director, Dan, I think I'm saying this correctly, Dan Trachtenberg, this is his first movie. Oh, shit. Nice. I love that cut. The jarring cuts to silence. But yeah, this is his first movie, which is kind of amazing. And apparently this is his only movie that he's made so far, or at least feature-length movie. He's done a couple short films, he did a short film that was supposed to be based on the Portal video game series. And he's done some television. He did an episode of Black Mirror, and he did an episode of The Boys. But I really hope...
yeah, it's interesting that he hasn't reapproached feature films because this really is quite a standout first film. And he can clearly handle the long format, so I would like to see where he goes with it.
Oh, God. That sound of the blood peeling off the pillow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, he was supposed to be attached to a film adaptation of the video game movie Uncharted, but literally last year he said he's out. So for whatever reason, I forget.
Well, I mean, it's so hard to find good adaptations being done of video game films, and I could definitely see somebody being of a mindset of not wanting to tempt fate that early.
Yeah, we all thought we had it with Michael Fassbender and Assassin's Creed, but nope. Nope, 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 nope. But yeah, so I really just hope whatever he does next is just as good as this, because my God, just the setup of this movie is amazing. And then, of course, you know, it has to be a horror movie, and her phone it has either I forget, is it dead? It's either got no reception or it's just straight up dead.
Yeah, I don't remember. It
doesn't really matter, I guess.
It's been a while since I've seen this, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, I did see this earlier this year, but this was several months ago.
You have a poll right there, honey.
Honestly, I think she's just more in shock of the pain.
Well, I think it's of the pain and the fact that she's tied up and doesn't know where she is. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
She does she does such a good job in this entire opening sequence of, you know, portraying the emotion, the stress and everything she's going through.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's such a wonderful delivery. It's very interesting when you see stuff like this and you're just like, how is she not getting more work?
I don't know, man. Well, again, she was in Birds of Prey recently,
right?
Although she was kind of sidelined, which was, you know, and she was played a little bit. That's a whole nother.
That's a whole rabbit hole.
But yeah, you mentioned, like, use the poll. You've got it. This is what I really love about this movie, is that this character is not one of those ditzy, dumb characters that you see in all these goddamn horror movies.
Yeah.
She is smart. As a matter of fact, she's a lot smarter than she's led to believe, you know? Because as a matter of fact, there are times where she gets even ahead of the audience.
Yeah.
Which is really quite something. Like, you know, it's obviously going to be something showed later on. Spoilers, I guess. I mean, of course, if you're watching it like this, why are you even watching it in the first place? You should just stop the podcast and just watch this for yourself, and then come back and like and subscribe, as always. But yeah, no reception, because apparently she's way deep down, although she doesn't know that yet. But yeah, again, she's so smart, and that's what I love about this character and this movie. And then we get our first big reveal of the man himself. Oh, he's so imposing. Man, I really love the fact that they still don't show his face. Oh. Man, dude, John Goodman. What the hell was that again?
What, you mean what he threw down?
Yeah. Well,
it was the lock to the cuffs.
Oh, right. Okay. Although it does really make you wonder, why did he cuff her up in the first place?
Well, I think it's a matter of, you're in a panicked position like that, you might hurt yourself right out the gate.
Possibly. Yeah, that's that's the thing about this movie. It always just keeps you guessing like that. But dude, seriously though, John Goodman, because I'm actually kind of hard pressed to remember a time when John Goodman was this menacing. Or this like really intimidating, because he's played he's played everything, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's other movies, but off the top of my head, none are coming to mind.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's had such a long and varied career that, but it's also because it's a bit more nuanced than other ones. Not long ago, he plays a lone shark kind of intimidating guy in The Gambler, and he does a great job. But, it's a very different kind of character, like less menacing, more just knowledgeable of how insane he is, I guess.
Yep. Of course, the dude's played like some really great comedy stuff too.
Oh yeah.
And he's done some dramatic stuff too. But I think this is the point where he really gets to shine with his with the scary level of scary he can be, and the drama behind it too.
I love how all that worked there with the music cue and everything. It's like, yeah, he's not going to work on a schedule. Like,
yep,
you're not just going to get your one little plan and he's just going to operate.
But the fact that she thinks
needed.
about that.
Well, yeah.
I really can't stress enough, because, we've all been to those stupid horror movies with our friends where we're like, why are you doing this? Don't go in there, girl. Like, and this movie is like, no, she's actually trying to be smart and resourceful.
Yeah.
And this was really, really smart. Having the fire.
Uh-huh.
To get him to draw him in, and then she can try to stab.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, then again, it runs the risk of this. Oh, there's the alarm. Man, this script is so good.
Yeah, it does such a good job. I mean, that whole sequence, like, it establishes her resourcefulness, her intelligence, also her dedication. She is not going to submit to this quietly.
Yeah. And they still manage to, put some little extra twists and a few other cards up her sleeve for the later part of the movie. And I also love the fact that, one of the first things that we see on John Goodman is the pistol on his hip.
Oh, yeah.
You would think he would have led with the world ended
right
sort of thing. But then again, it wouldn't make for as tense of a movie.
Well, yeah. Because that's just it. It's like, yes, the world's ended, but he's also off his rocker. They're both true.
Yes. When he mentioned this whole attack thing, when he mentioned that, I actually, my gears, my fanboy gears, because I'd seen the first one, were the things that started turning. I'm like, oh shit, is this what? So, because minor spoilers for the first Cloverfield, like, because the found footage is actually presented as, a government property, or the footage is now government property and whatnot, and it's designated recovered from site Cloverfield, formerly known as Central Park, because that's where the movie winds up. And during the end credit, like, at the end of the movie, they essentially nuke Midtown Manhattan. Manhattan is gone in this universe, and the footage that we've seen is what we live in now, where the quote unquote interdimensional or alien giant monster thing has been nuked in the middle of downtown Manhattan. And then there's like a little Easter egg at the very end where it's like, help us, it's still alive. And so, when we come to this movie, I'm like, oh shit, is this like after New York City? And like now it's on the rampage again, or there's like more of them or something? Because apparently like the Cloverfield giant monster that you see, it's not actually a fully grown monster. It's actually an infant. Yeah, so, it's basically characterized as this crazy, or this newborn that's getting shot at and tanks fired at it. So it's scared, it's alone, and it's just going on a rampage. I think they wanted to characterize it like this baby elephant that was going on a rampage. So I thought when he mentioned the attack, I'm like, oh shit, is this like after? And it's totally not, which was really disappointing. I'm not gonna lie. Oh, and then of course now we have our third player. Again, I also really love how, again, it's only like 3 cast members.
Yeah.
Although sadly, this character Emmett, played by John Gallagher Jr. I hate to admit it, I just wish they developed his character a little bit more, because he is the weakest link in this movie. I hate to say,
he is, and
yeah.
I am in agreement there. It's like you kind of wanted a bit more there.
I really want to see more of it, because the movie itself isn't bad that way. It's just you almost kind of wanted it to be this very intimate game of cat and mouse between the two characters. But then again, at the same time, the way that it plays out, you kind of do need the third. But this movie, what is it? This movie is like an hour and 40 minutes long. You could have pumped it up to 2 hours, give him, 20 minutes or even 10, 15 minutes of extra screen time to build his character a little bit. That would be totally acceptable. So
yeah, I mean, I would like to see more from him, but at the same time, I do think the pacing in this movie does tend to work as well. So I'm not sure where. I mean, yeah, but I mean, even 5 minutes to give a little more backstory or on how
sympathy
we got there. Yeah, just
anything,
something.
But yeah, there was always a missing ingredient, and I don't think it was this guy's performance that inherited it, but there was just one little ingredient missing. But I do like the way that he's written and the way he's directed. Like, you're not quite sure if he's like in this Stockholm syndrome kind of mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that though. Like, this is like, oh, there's somebody else. Like, he's reaffirming this, and it doesn't seem to be.
Yeah, the pendulum swings for John Goodman's character, Howard, is nuts. It's great. But I will say the way he quite literally dominates each scene.
Oh yeah, I mean,
amazing.
And it's it's perfect for the character. He's such a and he's the actor who can do that. But that right there, it does so much to change the entire dynamic. Because like, oh, now it's not just me versus a crazy guy. There's somebody else here, and he's actually affirming that shit's gone sideways in the world.
Yeah. VHS. Remember VHS, kids? Good times. Okay. Man, he is just brutal.
Yep.
But I do love the set design for this movie.
Oh yeah.
And apparently that's how they were able to get, because like when the first Cloverfield came out, the trailer dropped and everyone's like, "What the hell is this? Like, this is gonna be amazing," and all that kind of shit. And apparently they shot that movie almost entirely in secret, and they were able to do it in this movie too. And what's so ingenious is because this movie is limited to pretty much just one set and one location, exterior location, and only a couple other small other places, you could see how you were able to totally get away with shooting this entire movie in secret. So unsettling.
Yeah.
The rubber ducky. But yeah, no, seriously, this set is really really kind of cool. Because one of the things that I was reminded of when I watched this, did you ever see the film Don't Breathe with Stephen Lang?
Nah.
It's not a bad horror movie. It's like if you go in knowing that you're going to see a horror B picture, you'll be fairly satisfied. Like for me, it's like, just because we're both fairly picky about our horror movies, but it's one of those movies once you've watched, you'd be like, I could watch that again maybe in a couple of years, but that's about it. But the best thing about the film Don't Breathe is the cinematography and the sense of geography, because it all takes place in this one old guy's house. The blind man, as he's billed. But the really coolest thing about the movie is it always keeps the geometry and the floor plan of the house in mind, and paying it off in unexpected ways.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I was kind of reminded
me
of
conceptually
this.
of Wait Until Dark.
Yeah. I haven't seen that, but I'd heard a few things about that too. Yeah, because I especially love that one shot where you just get to see the entirety of the bunker. Because again, when you're doing confined spaces, when you're doing pretty much the entire movie takes place in a confined space like this, you really have to be in mind of your geography, of where everything is, and if you really know how to play around with it, you can have those settings and the geography of each individual scene pay off in really cool and clever and unexpected ways. I don't think this movie quite did that as well as Don't Breathe, but nevertheless, the fact that they still took advantage of the whole, one location, everything is set in this place and whatnot.
Yeah.
Was really, really cool.
And I love his annoyance that, like,
he has to.
Well, not just that, but like that he's as he says, like, closest I can get to an airlock. Like, he doesn't have a full airlock, and so even this is something of a risk.
Yeah. And that's where he's. Oh man, the way they build that, man, where they
Yep.
suggested, did he? Ah. And you know what the weird thing is? Like, as soon as that happened, I'm like, because now I'm starting to ask questions. Because when you know they suggested that he might have been the one to have rammed her off the road. Now I'm like, okay, fuck whatever's going on outside. Now I am totally invested in
Right.
what's going on in here. But the only weird thing that, or the only other thing that kind of changed things here, now I'm starting to ask myself, did he bring these two down there to become like his own personal Adam and Eve, and he's like gonna play God or shit? Like, it is so bizarre, but you know, and I'm actually kind of glad that it didn't pay off in that way, because I feel like
for sure.
It's one of those things where, like, you know, sometimes, you know, you can get ahead of a movie and you still get satisfied, but with something as dramatic and tense, and where twists and turns, you want twists and turns that you aren't expecting, I'm actually glad that I was proven wrong.
Yeah, although I will say I haven't revisited this movie in some time, and I mean, he obviously has like this crazy bunker for himself, but if I remember correctly, you know, from the timeline of when he was building this, he was working on this bunker when he still had, you know, a family.
Yeah.
And so I'm more puzzled by the design, the fact that it's like, shouldn't there be a full developed, done second room? Like,
yeah.
like that's a little on the odd side for me. Like,
It is weird. It is very weird. Well, apparently there's like a featurette where you can actually see not only the map of the bunker, but you can also see a timeline of the construction. And so apparently, okay, so the timeline is in 92, Howard and his pregnant wife moved into the farmhouse. By 93, when his daughter was 6 months old, Howard built the airlock, the main exit staircase, the mud porch, the bedroom, the bathroom, and the original second escape. And then by 99, Megan was 6 years old. He had built the main space, the kitchen, the generator room, second bathroom. And then by 2008, when Megan was 15, he added the generator room, which connects the second escape, where she, you know, where later on she finds the bloody earrings, and you know, and and then in 2010, Howard's wife and 17-year-old daughter left him, probably because he was getting fucking crazy. And then in 2012, that's when the abduction of Brittany, or in Howard's words, Megan Prime, where apparently he's trying to get his daughter back in his own twisted way. And then the timeline concludes with in the year 2015, where now Megan is 22 and in college. And then obviously this movie was released in 2016, so obviously this was like a year later.
yeah.
Crazy history. And you know what the best part is? All of that shit that I just said, the fact that I don't know that and I'm still super invested in this movie, such a good compliment.
I love the fact, though, that it's like, I mean, while you want more story about him and his background, you know, the fact that's like, he was like, I want in this bunker because he's the only guy I know with a bunker. Like, that really establishes an important realism and dynamic about what's going on.
Yes. I mean, well, seriously, if, you know, if, like, you know, fucking Trump just pushes the nuke button and you happen to know someone who has, like, a fallout shelter like this, Of course you're gonna clamber towards
Right?
it, you know? Like, who wouldn't? As a matter of fact, like, you know, because, you know, I have too much imagination and too much free time on my own stance. But if I ever got a genie in a bottle and I was able to just get like my own dream house, I would totally have a bunker just kind of like this. Although with a little bit less creepy and a little bit more personal space.
I mean, like, I'm all for having a basement bunker thing, whatever, if that's your jam. But you know, I don't. I'm also one of those people who's like, you know what? If the world goes up, just send me with it.
Hmm.
I'm kind of like, I don't necessarily know that I want to deal with the insane fallout of massive years of instability and
Uncertainty and all that.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
but it's more like, you know, it's like the anarchy that follows without any level of order semblance or whatever. It's like, I don't know that I want to deal with that in this country. I know too many crazies.
Plus, I'm pretty sure we're all at least familiar in some way with Fallout.
Right.
So, who really wants to deal with that? Am I right? Man, he. Wow. Okay. Weird flex, but okay.
It's he is the one person trying to like, oh, we're fine, it's normal, and everyone else is just like, I mean, John Goodman hates him and just wants him to shut up, and she is so much like, I don't understand how you're just accepting this. What the fuck?
I know, right?
I'm glad that
You know,
went away.
you probably yeah, you probably shouldn't be, you know, spouting your stupid millennial lingo to this very disturbed boomer. Wow. Ugh.
Yeah, and that's the whole point of this movie that I love so much is like, he's not wrong, he's crazy, but he's not wrong.
Yeah, and that's the most disturbing part is that the crazy person in the room actually has points. And if the crazy person has points, what does that make you? Oh jeez. And you know the scary part is he totally speaks for Michelle
Yeah.
without even considering. A bit. Uh,
I love the fact
oh
that
man,
you know they show that she is
tease.
constantly checking the angle. She is trying to figure out like, how do I make things play to what I need it to be.
Yeah.
It's like, how do I get out of here? Where are the tools I need? Where are they located? What do things look like?
I hate Monopoly personally.
I have become more tolerant of it since I have learned the actual rules and do not let people differ or use house rules. It actually makes it go fairly quickly.
See, I just really don't like it because I know the full history behind the game and just how it reminds me every day that and if I may be so preachy for just a second, how capitalism has ruined us all.
Agreed.
Yeah. But yeah, ever since then I'm just like I can't because like, when you start, especially when you start losing, you're like, this is too real and I'm starting to get PTSD here. Can we stop? Like, let's play Sorry instead. Damn. Well, that escalated really quickly. Man, that's the other scary part. Like it's like you said, John
Yeah.
Goodman's character is correct. He does have points, but he's
But
also
he's
completely batshit crazy.
Yeah, he's off his rocker.
But the scariest part about that combination is that he's just as smart as she is.
Oh yeah.
That's the really, because she saw right through her little plan with the pepper spray. But oh shit, she got her keys.
Yup.
Man, this movie's good. But what would be the the worst part is that he doesn't notice right now. Oh shit, what are you gonna do?
I do like the use of close-up in this movie. They do it really
Yes.
well.
Yeah, I think I remember on the study of close-ups, David Fincher was always one who said you have to be very careful about your close-ups because anytime you cut to a close-up, you have to go, look at this. This is important, and if you overuse it, you tend. Oh Jesus!
Yup.
You tend to lose the gravity of those things.
Unless you know how
But
to do
not
it like a
here.
master, like Dem did for like Silence of the Lambs in his movies. I mean, he was
Yes.
the master of the close-up, but he knew how to do it in every aspect to make it work.
Yes.
I mean, if they're done right, you can do them with regularity and make it work. But if they're done wrong, it is a waste of effort.
Yeah, and a waste of film.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus! Come on, you can do it. And now we have an outsider. Oh man, this scene's so great. man, dude. That's when you're like, oh shit. Like this, it's like as soon as you saw the slaughtered pigs and you're like, oh, this is real, and then it just takes you back because you saw his truck with the blood smear, and she's like, oh, it's fake. He's lying.
Yeah.
And then you see this woman, oh, it's real, and you're like, ah, but in some of the good ways.
The truck was not the blood smear. The truck was the paint smear from her red
that's
car.
Right. The paint smear. My bad. But yeah, dude, but the fact that the pendulum of trust switches so delightfully back and forth.
Well, it's this.
Jesus Christ.
It's this, but that's just it. It's like he's nuts, but outside is like literally the apocalypse. It's a terrible rock and a hard place situation, and the way they just, you knew that tension had to be broken. Like she had to make her attempt, but then bringing the reality in, it's just like, oh.
And what a good way for her to have that reality crash down, but she's not exposed herself.
Right.
Because, if she went out, she actually did make it out the door and there was no car or anything, she would have been exposed and the movie would have been over. But now we have we're only, we're 43 minutes. We have a full hour left of movie. How delightful is that? And even worse is the fact that, now he's... And again, now we have the trust thing going, swinging back to the good side. Right. Man, dude. Now we totally feel sympathy for the guy, and we know we shouldn't. Like, dude, for real, did we not see that interruption? That, good Lord.
That's just why this movie works so well, though. It's like, it moves around, it constantly keeps you guessing and changes the status quo, and it's never great, but it's also like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And that's the worst part about the best and worst part about it is that because it keeps you in that awful sense of tension because everything that's said feels plausible.
Yeah.
The plausibility and that level of verisimilitude is it's aching, but in literally the best way. And I love the fact that literally that scene, John Goodman it really shows off how good he is that he actually makes you so freaking, he actually makes you sympathize for him. And he actually makes you feel a little guilty for when she hits him over the head with that beer bottle, you're like, yeah, bitch, get going, get out of there, go! Like, you're rooting for her, but now, after that scene, John Goodman plays it so well that you actually, I'm so sorry, John Goodman.
Well, he plays it very well, but at the same time, it's like, you still get the impression, okay, he's nuts. There's a level of sympathy in some regards, too. It's just cool.
That was such a good idea. And I do love that thing. He's like, I said I brewed it. I didn't say it was actually distilled. I didn't say anything good about this.
I didn't say it tastes good.
Probably should have stocked up on some Tennessee whiskey.
Oh man, those curved needles always are such a weird thing to see.
Ugh. Ugh. Good makeup, but man, does it make for some really good. And that's another thing that I really love about some horror movies doing, is that they take the mundane things and turn them into really horrific things. Like something that the original Exorcist was very good at, making those medical procedures super cringy and excruciating to watch.
Yeah.
And because I think medical horror is kind of an underrated art.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a lot to be done there, and you know, when it's approached appropriately, it can really just put you on edge, which is, you know, what the goal of a horror film is.
I wish I had a few more nurse and doctor friends to give me some really good inspiration for some horror stories.
Well, I think a lot of it, I mean, just playing with the idea of anesthesia and then,
yeah,
you know, consciousness, unconsciousness, what procedures, things of that nature. It's like there's a lot of ways to play with that.
That kind of reminds me of that one movie with Hayden Christensen. I think it was called Awake, where he's supposed to be under for a procedure, but he's actually fully conscious the whole time.
But like can't move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard it wasn't that great of a movie, but
yeah, I mean,
great concept though.
Yeah, it's great concept, but
yep.
I know an anesthesiologist, and I've told him if I am ever having a procedure and he walks in, I'm demanding another one because he'll probably kill me.
I love you, buddy, but not enough to fix me up.
He's a former coworker, and let's just say there were a lot of shenanigans at that job. I knew him when he was getting certified to be an anesthesiologist, and I sent him around the bed a few times.
Man, I could never stay in one spot for the rest of my life, because I grew up in the outer Chicago, like the outer Chicago suburbs. And let me tell you, it's boring.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I grew up in San Diego and then got moved to Ohio. It's like my wanderlust.
Wow, you got downgraded.
Yeah, my wanderlust has been there forever, because it's like I grew up with the ability to, you know, go into museums and beaches and just all sorts of, you know, cultural things and beautiful vistas. And now it's like, oh, I'm in suburbia in Ohio. No.
Yeah. Ever think about going back?
Yeah, except for the fact that the housing market exploded and it's way too expensive. I'm not.
That's very true.
More go overseas.
Yeah. Boy, it must have been really fun for you around July, with Comic-Con being like right around the corner.
Well, I moved here when I was 11, so it's like Comic-Con was in its young infancy, and my comic collecting days are also in their young infancy. So
missed out on that. Oh well. Yeah, you can just follow his device. Buy the next ticket or the one after that. Next opportunity, if there is ever one, considering if we ever get out of lockdown.
Right. I love the way they played this year with the color schemes, though, and the, you know, both against the wall, both back and forth, opposite sides, you know, showing, you know.
Good screen direction. Really good.
Yeah.
Also, very mercifully, there's almost no music in this movie. Like, there's only music in some of the extremely tense scenes, and when the action set pieces come around, or what qualifies as an action set piece in a movie like this. Not knocking it, just like it's a different kind of action.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I keep saying this, and I know I keep repeating myself, but she really should have deserved a little bit more recognition for this role.
Oh yeah, and you were just talking about music. What a great use of a song for this kind of movie.
Yeah. See, this is I think this movie was like where things got really real for me, because again, I first watched this in quarantine, and I'm like, oh man, those quarantine feels right here. Like, doing puzzles, checking, redecorating, re-cleaning, doing lots of cooking, like, oh yeah, and watching movies on the couch. Cannibal Airlines. Boy, that needs to.
Apparently, that's a like little in joke from what I understand. Uh-huh. Apparently, that's one of the various fake cassette tapes that hangs around the Bad Robot offices. But they have a collection of fake cassette tapes they've made, like fake movies from whatever, and that's one of them, and they just used it for this movie.
Huh. Interesting, because I'm like, man, I don't think I've heard of that one, but I kind of want to watch it. Oh yeah, and this is the part where we kind of figure out what those drawings were supposed to be, because she was into fashion design and designing clothes, which pays off in such a brilliant way in the third act, man. I really can't stress.
Yeah.
Because like it even took me a while to figure out exactly what the hell to do in this kind of a situation.
Oh yeah, I mean that's just it. It's like, how do you deal with whatever this is?
What could it be?
Great sound design here.
I know. You're like, is it helicopters or is it something else? And here's where the tinfoil hat comes on.
Yep.
And you're like, wait, what? Because, like, look, I know this is connected to this other movie, but, by the time we've gotten to this point, I'm like, I really don't care how it's connected to the other one. I'm just concerned how grounded and real this movie is.
Yeah, so and what I love at this point, too, though, is, like, they clearly show his cut, and that's a great thing, because it's a good way to show the passage of time.
Yes. But it's just so great because when he starts talking about interdimensional beings and these sort of things, it's like, okay, now you're fucking crazy.
Oh yeah. Well, we knew he was crazy, but it's a matter of like how crazy.
As John Goodman states many times, I'm a big old panda bear. Yes,
I love that little pause there. It's like, yep.
Got to double check it. Man, he just brings such wonderful little nuances to it.
Oh yeah, I mean that he is such a nuanced actor. That's what I mean. He is a national treasure.
Yes,
I have never seen him deliver a performance that was bad. Even, like whether it's a character role, a bit role, a lead, like whatever I've seen him do, he's always done a good job.
Totally. And he again, like it's kind of like the what I call the Schwarzenegger effect. Even in the worst of movies, he's still the best thing about it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've watched plenty of bad movies that I've watched because there was a good actor in it, and I just wanted to see that person, do what they do. So.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, this kind of reminds. This is the point where I was like really reminded of Don't Breathe and the geometry of space in a horror movie and how that can play off in unexpected ways. This one's a little bit more by the numbers. Don't Breathe plays it in more unexpected ways that you wouldn't be able to probably predict. But this one still does the job pretty well because now we have this second escape room with the air filtration, and the fact that she's the only one who can get into it is kind of a really cool deal. Also, really love the color design of the bulbs in here. It's got it almost does kind of make me think of Ellen Ripley, and the kind of a claustrophobic horror setting. Now we have the second escape. And the fact that he failed to mention that just puts you a little in unease. But if you thought that was uneasy, it was this little bit right here. Where,
this is great.
We got a lock. But most importantly are the fingernail scratches. And they are not from the outside. They're from the inside. Help. Yeah, it would have been one thing if it was from the outside.
Yeah, but I mean,
the fact that she touched it and there's that little extra sensual feeling about it. And the fact that it's written backwards so someone from the outside could comprehensibly read it. And then, of course, another little clue. The earring. Technically, he didn't. What he did was far worse. Oh, the bloody earring. Although I will say, the blood is surprisingly fresh.
Right, but this.
Yeah, this was super freaky. Oh. abduction.
Things just went from like, we knew he's nuts to he is full blown, like, off the rails, murdering psycho.
And that just brings you another thing. Because it's all from their perspective, you still have to wonder, is there still some missing element here that we're not getting?
Right.
Can this be explained? Most likely not, but oh shit.
But also the worry, they're both now in his private space. And, like, this is a great, you know, I said there's not much music, but here's a great music cue.
Yep.
Like, they know they need to get out. Like, they're...
And now a time comes where they have to figure out what the hell to do. Confess to who? Seriously. Dude, at this point, just take his gun and pop him in the head. And just live out whatever apocalypse is going on up there. And the fact that the blocking is really good here, because he literally interjects in between the two of them and subverts the drama with a little bit of comedy.
I love that when they had that moment in the trailer of him bopping in front of it, like, and like, it always sticks with me. Like, that shot, that moment, like, I will remember that from this movie, like, forever.
And now I like the fact that the gears are kind of turning in her head with the curtain. This was such a smart move, because this is something that only this character would be smart enough to think of. Where she actually invents a hazmat suit. That's so resourceful and so awesome. Like, I really wish I could articulate just how glad I am that the characters are not just as smart as the audience, but just that much smarter.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, shit. Don't do it. Don't do it. Well, yeah, that's the whole reason why. You know what I really love about this framing here? Is that even though Emmett's the one in focus, the fact that we constantly shift our eyes straight to Howard.
Yeah.
And his performance. Because we know he suspects something.
Yeah, he's very paranoid, but it's like he's paranoid about
warranted.
Right, but he's paranoid about several things. So
a really smart idea to get him to toss the shower curtain, and they bring it back up. And also, what a clever idea to have that stupid ducky in a raincoat that gives her the idea. Because it was the raincoat that she was like, ooh, I can make a hazmat suit.
Well, and it's stuff like that that, you know, you like is so appreciated. You're going to love more than other stuff because, like, you have to like it when a movie doesn't waste, you know, its environment, where everything is so intentional. Like, there's so many films you see out there where it's like a lot of it's not really intentional, or it's just like that's just there. I really like
it's chess piece storytelling, you know, where
yeah,
it's something that's like, oh, that's an interesting thing, and then they just don't think of it, and therefore, oh, you don't think that we, the audience, aren't going to not think of it later on? We totally are.
Yeah,
we know that's a piece.
Yeah, I love when they, you know, put all those little things together like that and really use an environment.
And using, you know, what little that they have to solve a particular problem.
Yeah.
Seriously, though, guys, like, you really shouldn't try to just capture them. You really should just straight up kill them at this point.
Yeah.
If that were me, that's the one thing that I would probably do, because I'm not taking any chances with this guy.
No, when I'm fairly certain that I'm dealing with somebody who has murdered somebody else, it's like, nope. First and foremost is getting you out of the picture, no longer being a threat.
Yeah. And this scene is such a really good little bit to write in there. This scene is so geniusly tense.
Oh, yeah.
Because I love that the way that they write, he's like, I'm watching you. I know what you're doing. And he's like, oh, shit, does he know? And, God, I really wish that this is so good.
Yeah, they play it really, really well here.
This, I feel like, was part of the original script. And they're like, this is really smart. This is really tense. We can make this work, and we're not touching this scene worth a damn. I really want to read see if I can dig up the original script for the Cellar, the one that they originally wrote before they did a couple of rewrites, and see just how close it was, because, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so good. And she diffuses it perfectly. Perfect. Perfect. And the worst part is, now you're like, oh shit, did he just give us away?
Right.
Like, fuck.
So it plays so well. It's just like,
ah, man. So, someone earned their money when they wrote that. I just really need to get my hands on a copy of the original script.
Yeah.
Although, you know what's interesting on who doctored the script?
No.
Damien Chazelle. If you don't, he did what was it? He did La La Land. He did Whiplash.
Oh, okay.
And he also worked on He also did First Man. And the only reason he was actually supposed to direct this movie. The only reason why he didn't is because, you know, he made a short film for Whiplash with J.K. Simmons. Like, it was originally a short film, and then someone picked it up and, like, we're going to make this a feature film with J.K. Simmons attached. and he's like, "Oh yeah, fuck it, I'm on."
Yeah.
So he stepped down from this, and he just is credited as a script writer. But he was supposed to direct this, and it would have been interesting to see where that went. But regardless, Dan Trottenberg does a really good job here. Oh shit. See, now when he brought this out, I'm like, "Oh fuck," cuz
Right.
have you seen Breaking Bad, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've seen how, like, in that the first early episodes
Yeah.
where they're like, how do we get rid of the bodies? Like, let's put them in acid.
Right.
And I saw this and I'm like, oh fuck. Oh fuck. This is not good. And I knew right there and then someone was going to die.
Oh yeah.
No. Oh shit. Oh fuck. Oh. Noble but stupid. If it weren't for the open barrel of acid, I'd say they should have just rushed him right there and then.
Right.
Oh man, the silence. Oh hell.
Yep. Like, the movie just keeps ratcheting up.
Yep. Really good sound design too, because it's not just the shock of the moment, but it's that numbing effect where it, because if you've ever fired a weapon
Mm-hmm.
in close proximity and in closed spaces without hearing protection, you
Yep.
will go deaf and numb. So that numbing effect isn't just from the shock of the moment, but also practical.
Mm-hmm.
The fact when movies do double duty work for this to convey a message or a mood or a feeling, I just appreciate it so much more.
Yeah. And one of the things I really liked about the way this whole sequence has been going, I like that game not only showed the paranoia, but that really showed his misconception. It's like he's not. It's like he definitely is, dangerous and off the rails, but it's like he's not a predator, as in like I'm trying to kidnap somebody for a wife. He's like in this psycho parent role, and I think that's an important distinction, and I like the fact that because that's a different route they go than a lot of typical crazies they show in movies.
Yeah.
And I thought that was such an important establishing scene, and how it even goes afterwards. He's trying to comfort her like you would a daughter, and here you are with the ice cream.
Yeah, man. Like, that's because you're totally right. And if this was just another stock horror movie, he would be a little perverse. He would.
Yeah.
There would be a sexual thing going on, but there is totally not, and that's so goddamn refreshing.
Yeah. And the shift here where he has shaved.
Yeah. Like he has literally cleansed himself of the murder.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. But yeah, dude, it's just the refreshing is probably the best word for this movie, because it does so much wonderful Hitchcockian things that you just don't see, especially in today's atmosphere of horror movies, because you see a lot of crap. I mean, it was really like growing up, I wasn't really much into horror films because I was a big old pussy about it. But by the time I got to high school and I started looking at some of the classics, I had a new appreciation for it. And going out with my friends in high school and whatnot, and we wanted to go see some horror movies at each other's places and whatnot. Especially around Halloween time. And honestly, a lot of them just didn't do it for me, and especially the recent ones, like The Strangers and shit like that. It's just like it feels so unearned and so bland. So when a movie like this comes out, especially in this atmosphere of cheap, forgettable horror, it's so good. And I love that shot where the screw is very loose.
Yep.
And it is able to cut back to this. Oh, shit. And the other really good thing is the other movie doesn't linger for too long. Like this movie could have been like either one of the other, because it's such a game of cat and mouse. The fact that it doesn't overly play on that, like it's like, oh my god, why can't you figure out what one another is doing already? It doesn't waste any time for that. Oh, Jesus. And I love that delivery. He's like, oh, shit, you're the one who's responsible? You're the one who's been betraying me, and I killed Emmett for nothing? Oh, you're gonna die now. Oh, Jesus. God, can you imagine the smell of that?
Oh, God, yeah.
I don't want to think about that, especially in a enclosed place. Oh, shit.
Yep. I loved that moment. It was such a badass power play.
Oh, God. Oh,
what
sounds.
A rough way to go.
Well, he's still not going yet, but then this happens and you're like, oh, man. And the fact that it feels scientifically correct, that's the other thing. Like, we always seen, in like Die Hard where he lights the cigarette and on the airline and it actually catches up to the plane and blows up. Stupid and impractical, but it's a cool movie. Where this actually, like, no, let's keep it grounded and let's keep it kind of straight. And it totally works in that manner, It still manages to work thematically, even being grounded.
Yeah.
Oh, no, not the table. Not the antique family heirloom table.
And I love this. Like, I don't know if the reference is intentional, but it feels Shawshank.
Yeah. Yep. And now with the bunker on fire, there's only one way out. But and then we remember this part where you look down and you see where he was originally, like looking up, checking up on him, and now she's checking up on him. Oh, shit.
And his delivery right there,
I
just
know, so scary. Although, you know, I did wonder, it might have been because the gun got damaged when he fell over. But why doesn't he just, like, use the gun
Yeah.
But that, I just wish that they had that one close-up of, like, the gun getting fried or something, you know? Just to establish why he wouldn't use that, because he only used the one shot. Oh, God. The makeup is so scary. Ah!
I mean, it's yeah, the makeup's scary, but the way she does that, and even though it's such a short shot, the sound design of just hearing like that wrist go, it's like
the burn, the flesh tearing. Like I know as like a guy who's done Foley work in the past, like those are always the most fun because you can get really crazy and nasty and fun. Yeah, using the duct tape to seal the suit in.
Yep, like
you gotta move quick, man.
Yeah, I mean the place is burning. You got smoke issues. Like you on a timetable.
Yarp. And also because, like, you know, I love how they even set up that, you know, she learned how to build her and make a filter for her mask.
Yeah.
And use the freezing trick. Like, it's shit that she picked up on. God, this movie's so smart and awesome. Come on, you can do it. Though I really do, because while this does seem scientifically plausible, I really wish Mythbusters were still around, because I'd love to see them tackle this myth.
It is scientifically possible, but for something of that nature, you'd probably actually need a couple bottles.
Yeah, I kind of figured she wouldn't be able to get out with just the one, especially in an atmosphere of smoke. And plus, she'd probably need a hammer along with it, and not just bash the can, you know? But regardless, still makes for a really fun movie, and the fact that they keep it within the realms of plausibility, makes it really cool and entertaining. And I do love this little bit here, where we're finally, for the first time, outside, and everything seems quiet and normal. Maybe we're out in the middle of nowhere. We don't know. Only one way to go.
But at the same time, she's seen stuff, you know.
Yeah,
like...
so you really can't be sure. And I love the car from the woman is still there. Although I really do wonder what happened to the woman herself. Oh shit.
But this is also, I mean, the duct tape on her, like the smart that she has of but.
And I do love the inside the helmet kind of shots. I feel like he was taking a few notes after watching Gravity. You know, because I know that came out like a couple of years earlier, and I bet he saw that and he's like, "I'm gonna do that shot. Gonna make it really crazy." And plus, it's another really great way to change up your sound design, because when you switch to the interior, you have that, you know, the breathing inside the suit, which makes it so much more intimate.
I love this moment that's like, okay, there's birds, so something like this can't be completely have gone to hell. There's birds.
Yeah. Also, I'm still alive, and there was a leak in my suit. Could this be something that's slow acting? It's not instantaneous. Only one way to find out. I've gone through all this, but let's see. And you hear, and then again, the sound design, so good. Where you can hear the birds, and you can hear the cicadas and the bugs and the wildlife, and you're like, holy shit. It was all fake. Oh, man.
But no, then you hear it.
Yeah.
You can hear that worrying in the background, like something's going on.
And when you see it, okay, so now we're getting to the point where this can go one way or another for viewers. It can go like the same way where her reaction, like, oh, you got to be fucking kidding me, or it's like, oh, okay, I'll go with this. Where's this going? And since you had like almost no expectations, what was your reaction to this?
Oh, I mean, I was all right with it.
Oh, shit. Well, looks like that bunker's gone.
Yup.
It's really gone now.
Yup.
Well, at least you don't have to worry about Howard no more, but now we got a bigger problem. And that's fucking aliens. And I actually do love her delivery on this, where she looks and she's like, oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me. She's like, oh shit, those are aliens. The tentacle things.
Yep.
It's like, you gotta be kidding me. He was right this whole time? Like, what? This is some bullshit. I just fought my way out of a fucking bunker with a nightmarish maniac. Like, now I gotta face aliens? You gotta be joking. We'll admit it got a little dark kind of fast.
Yeah.
Oh, oopsie.
Although, I mean, she was out at sunset, and, you know, depending on the time of year when the sun actually finally goes behind the horizon, it can be a substantial change. So
yeah,
but yeah, I agree with you. It did get dark really quick.
Movie sunsets are a weird animal. They either last forever or they last no time at all, and they just go straight to night. But this is super spooky with little a la Children of the Corn. And I think this is where the mystery box element of J.J. Abrams came in, where you don't actually see the thing. You just kind of... It's more implied, but I think it works here. Really like the sound of the beings. Oh, there's the woman.
Uh-huh. Oh, they showed her earlier in there, like...
Yeah, that's right. I guess I missed that, but whatever.
Yeah, they showed her, like, desiccated hand with the rings on it.
Mm-hmm. You know, I still remember watching this for the first time. I'm like, oh, so this is where they're going to tie in the first movie, where they're going to have, like, creatures that look kind of similar. But the funny thing is, for what the little of the creatures that we see, oh god, that's so creepy.
Right.
But for what little we do see of the creatures, none of the designs are consistent with the first movie. So I'm like, outside of the title, how is there any semblance to the first one?
Yeah, see, I never saw the first one, so I had no indication that, like...
Well, at least you have that benefit.
Yeah, like, I was like, oh, okay, it's a creature. I know the first one dealt with creatures. Okay.
Yeah, this franchise has the unfortunate thing where you become Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny, trying to connect the dots and get lost in the madness of it, when really they should just focus on producing these amazing, you know, thrillers that take place in their own rules. I do love this, though. For a second there, I'm like, oh shit, was Howard part with the aliens or something? And it's like, oh no, it's just a...
And now she sees the gas, and she is like, I need that mask, I need that mask, I need that mask!
Oh, fucking hell. Get it on, get it on.
Get it in, get it in.
Tuck it in. Oh, God. Whew, made it. Oh, I guess that gas is flammable. Oh, that's not good. Oh, shit! Vicious attack dog! Who? I'm a vicious attack dog that eats! Jesus Christ. Oh, Jesus Christ. You know what I also just noticed? In this, because you know, usually with these movies, you have like, the main female actress is usually like turned into like a scream queen.
Yeah.
It's amazing how little this, like this character actually screams, considering all the circumstances she's going through.
I do find it a little odd that they had the wipers going when she never got the car on, but that's just me.
Yeah. However, I will say this was really, really smart. I feel like, again, kind of stealing from another science fiction movie with aliens. I feel like this was kind of ripped off of Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds, where they're like, I'm not going to explode it from... I can take it out from the inside with an explosive.
Right.
But instead of using a hand grenade, we were going to use a Molotov cocktail. But it's still really cool, especially... man, she is tough. Open. Say ah! I said I made it. I didn't say anything good about it.
Right.
In any cheesy action movie, that would have been the appropriate line to pay off for later. But yeah, man, she takes out an alien shit. What a badass.
Right. It's just like every step of the way, it's just like she's on top of it, even though it's like she doesn't want to be dealing with any of this shit. She's just like, the fuck.
I know. She's like, come on, man. I really wish this movie got a little bit more attention, a little bit more praise, especially for Mary Elizabeth, because...
Well, what I really want to know, honestly, is apparently she was their only choice for this role.
Yeah, yeah.
And I want to know, what did you see? What of her other work did you see that you were like, this is our character. I mean, this is who we need.
Maybe she was a friend of someone or one of the producers or something, and he's like,
who knows? I mean, don't get me wrong, I like her work. I like what I've seen her do. But I'm like, man, what else? Like, what movie did you see where you're like, she's the one who can pull this off? Like, we gotta have her.
Because she was in, she's been in a couple other. Oh, there's our title.
Yep.
But she's been in a couple other horror movies like Final Destination, Black Christmas, and she also was in The Thing, the remake. So maybe I haven't actually seen any of those personally. I skipped out on Black Christmas because, again, I was just so turned off by horror movies these days. And
yeah, a lot of modern horror films don't do it for me, but.
And The Thing being remade, I'm like, come on, that's the last movie that needs a remake. So I kind of skipped out on that, even though it's supposed to technically be a prequel. But it might be her performance in one of those. So I guess I'd have to check those out. And now I love that she comes to a literal crossroads to help out people.
Yep.
Or to keep going on her journey, her original journey. And I actually love that.
And you just know what she's thinking. She's like, I have stitched a dude up. I have blown up an alien. I got this.
Also, it brings back that whole story where she's like, I ran away and I regret it for the rest of my life. And you know that she's following through that character arc. And then we get our final shot, which is so intimidating. And then it ends, and I'm like, wait, no, I want to see more. And that's 10 Cloverfield Lane, and probably the best of the 3 Cloverfield movies out. Again, I really...
So, only one I've seen, but I quite like it, so...
yeah, man, and what a film debut for Dan Trachtenberg, man. Trachtenberg?
Yeah.
I really hope I'm not butchering his name, because the dude really, really deserves some more movies thrown his way, especially if he can get into the writer bit, because, man, what good performances and what good atmosphere.
Yeah, for sure. I can't believe he, doesn't have, more going for him at the moment with just like, it's like you did that. Like, how have you not?
And this was only 4 years ago, man. Like, you should have gotten at least one more under your belt by now. But like, filmmaking is weird and whatnot. But what's up?
Oh, that's actually really good news for him.
What's that?
So, he did episode 1 of season 1 of The Boys.
Yeah, I mentioned that.
Runner, you mentioned he did an episode of The Boys.
Yeah.
So when it comes to television, when you are like the director, when you start a series like that, you kind of help set the tone. And usually, if you're the first person directing on a show, typically, if it then gets picked up, you end up getting residuals thereafter.
Oh.
So if he had the right kind of contract, that could actually be a very good thing for his career.
Yeah,
I don't know if that was the case, but I do know that, from other directors and people I've heard talk, if you're the one who it's like, you did the pilot inception for a show and it gets picked up, that is great news for you, even if you are no longer involved in the project.
Yeah. I don't know. It might not actually be the case, because I know that's like an Amazon Prime exclusive, and we all know that Amazon is a super evil corporation that wants to take over the world and might have different policies on its own.
Yeah,
they answer
again,
to no one.
It all depends on how the contracts worked out, which is not information we're going to be privy to.
Exactly. We have no idea, but I really hope that he does, because I really love the show The Boys. My fiance and I just kind of binge watched it over one day, because she has to watch it for work. She's a graphic designer and does some stuff. Yeah, and I actually tried reading the comic and just wasn't quite the same. But I love the show, and so I'm really hoping he gets a lot of stuff for that, and might even come back to do a couple more episodes, because I know season 2 is supposed to come out fairly soon.
Yeah, I think it's September 4th, if I remember correctly. I enjoy the show. I actually checked out the comic and I like it, but I can also, and the comic does make a little more sense logically in the way of things. However, the comic is very much designed for people who have been into comics. It works off of, hey, like, this is what would really be going on in a comic book universe. And if you haven't really read comics and spent a lot of time in, comic book universes of that nature, then yeah, I can see how it doesn't play as well.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
but that's why the show plays well, though. The show is like, hey, we're just gonna take the concept and do it to superhero movies, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. It's just the one thing about the comic is like, it's just a little bit much in terms of its tone and content. It's a little bit too mean for me, and a little too graphic, I think is the word.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I mean, also because I think he overly ran with his, like, I'm going to out-preacher, and I'm like...
that was the part that I'm like, that really hurt my interest in the series for the comic.
Well,
but again,
I think the comic actually has something so much. We've gotten on a really weird tangent here, but
I know.
I think them being CIA is so important. Them being independent operators in the show, I'm like, yeah, that doesn't play as well for me because like needing the protection of the government and that storyline and being that like, oh no, superheroes are part of corporations and the government's trying not to be taken over by corporations, so they have a black bag task force to keep these idiots in line. And
Yeah,
I just thought that was a really important aspect.
yeah. But apparently, I was reading on the director, and apparently he's also a podcaster himself. And I actually was reading that. I'm like, damn, how cool would it be for him to actually join us on our show and do like a director commentary? But then again, he probably already did one for the Blu-ray. I have
Oh,
no
yeah.
idea. I haven't actually.
I'm fairly certain there's a commentary track out there somewhere with him, so I would be shocked if there wasn't.
Yeah, we're just fans. But either way, I'm still a big fan of these, and I'm really excited to see whatever the hell else that he winds up doing in the future. Apparently, actually, I just read up that he wanted to do an adaptation of a great comic series by Brian K. Vaughan, Why the Last Man. I don't know if you've ever read that.
I have not, but I have heard nothing but good things from people who have, and you know, it's like I'm in favor of people doing more projects, and I particularly like the fact that given the rise of things like Netflix and Amazon, we're starting to see more experimentation and willingness to tackle, you know, long form comics instead of just trying to do like, you know, the movie one-offs and stuff. So I think it'll be interesting to see where stuff goes. I mean, obviously, you know, based on this film, I mean, this is a great movie with great performances across the board. It shows that as a director, he can hold the reins and handle stuff. So
yeah.
I'm surprised we haven't seen him doing more, but then again, I don't know what his personal goals are or what everything is going on in the industry. So he may be pursuing other stuff that, you know, he enjoys, and this might just not be his bag at the moment. But it doesn't mean he won't necessarily come back to it either.
Yeah, and I'd love to see him come back. I mean, just about anything, because from the few things that he's gotten out already, I'm definitely looking forward to more. And honestly, you know, I'm really sad that Cloverfield Paradox was the quote-unquote sequel to this, because, you know, we already talked about how kind of disappointing that was and whatnot, but I really want to see a sequel to this. I want to see, you know, Mary Winstead come back as that character and fucking fight aliens Ripley style. Like, can we just have a 10 Cloverfield Lane sequel where it goes full aliens and she becomes like a medic in a squad of soldiers trying to fight these beings? Like, I'll watch that. Like, the first movie's a horror movie, the second movie's an action war movie. Like, hell yeah. You kidding me? Because we don't have a whole lot of really great female action heroes. We've got Sarah Connor, we've got Ellen Ripley, and like, who else are really iconic? What's her name from Mad Max Fury Road?
Charlize Theron.
Yeah,
Furiosa.
Yeah. So like, we've only got maybe, you know, a small handful of female action, horror, sci-fi, whatever heroes, like really good ones. And damn it, this character has that potential to be one, but the way the franchise is formatted and set up, and it just, I don't think it'll work. But damn it, I want it to so badly, because we need more characters like her. I mean, we kind of saw her do something with what was she playing in Birds of Prey?
She played Huntress.
Yeah, that's right. She played the Huntress, and as a fan of the Huntress character, it wasn't disappointing, you know, the way she played it. It was just the way that she was characterized. Like, she's kind of an awkward kind of dude, and I get what they were going for, but I don't know. Like, Birds of Prey was kind of a mess, but it was a fun mess that I enjoyed. You know?
Yeah, I don't know. I think Birds of Prey did it very well. I mean, it's a fun comic book movie, which is what it's supposed to be, and I think it achieved what it was supposed to achieve. A
Yeah.
lot of yeah, I mean, I think that Mary Elizabeth Winstead has been doing a lot of work since she got in the industry. I mean, she's pretty consistently worked, and she's done a lot of stuff and been on a lot of shows and things, and a lot of stuff I think just hasn't quite hit. And I would really love to see some vehicle, whether her, taking a lead role in a show, movie, whatever. I would just love to see some vehicle vault her further up because I completely believe she has the talent. I mean, that movie
Oh,
shows
totally.
it.
Yeah.
Her acting chops are just, wonderful. But you're just kind of sitting there. It's like, man, like somebody
Give her
find
a-
the right vehicle
Yeah.
for this woman because she deserves to be doing way better and more intense and interesting and notable larger roles than she's currently doing. Like somebody find
Give
a good
her
vehicle.
something good, man, right? Maybe you know what? Maybe they should do like because obviously the coronavirus has pushed back Black Widow for God knows how long.
Oh
But
gosh.
how cool would it be if they put her in a blonde wig and have her be the other Black Widow that takes over? Put her in a Marvel movie, you cowards! Do it. And speaking of Marvel movies, and I think this is a good way to kind of segue into our final bits. Next week is going to be Blade with Mark in our Marvel movie of the month because we're keeping it spooky here. But yeah, I don't know if there's any final thoughts you have about this movie because honestly, there's so despite some flaws of being tethered to another movie, and that the ending doesn't quite work as well as I would like it to, despite totally working in the long run. Like after I've had time to process and think about it, I still think this is probably one of the more underrated horror thriller movies of the last decade.
Yeah, I think this movie did what it set out to do very well. I think it's a great little film, and I think that it's almost sad because I really enjoyed this in the theaters. I remember everyone talking about it at the time, and now I rarely hear it talked about or mentioned. And I think that I don't know if they just failed to capitalize or didn't know what they wanted to do, but this is one of those movies where it's like, man, like everything about that was great. And even now at this time, as you're saying, like with the pandemic and everything we're dealing with, it feels almost more, topical. And yet, like, it's not a movie I hear talked about much these days. And I'm just like, man, like that's a shame.
Yeah.
It's probably, as you said, it's probably, one of the best, thriller horror films like of this kind of genre of the last 5 or 6 years, and it's just like, man, it's not getting talked about much, and that's unfortunate.
Well, that's what we're here for, damn it. Go see this movie. See it many times, especially given how claustrophobic and how scary things are hunkered down. Like it'll definitely play to your nightmares, but in the most delightful and sensational ways. So yeah, man, like that was a lot of fun. So like I said, next week we'll be back with Marvel Movie of the Month with Mark, and again we're keeping it kind of spooky. So we're going full vampire with the first Blade with Wesley Snipes. Gonna be a lot of fun because it's been because it's one that I only saw recently, so should be a really good show. But we'll be back again with Spooktober with Sean and I and another special guest star who will share the same name of our film. That's all I'm given. That's your only hint. You 5 people listening, go out and search the bowels of the Comtrack, the Comtrack verse, and find the answer to my little riddle. You're not going to search. By the time you hear this, it's probably going to be out. And then, of course, I'm just going to get that one surprising fan like, oh my God, you actually were listening. You get a special prize. And speaking of which, if someone actually does comment or message about it, either in the comments or on Facebook or wherever, if you actually do comment what the next movie with Sean and I after our Marvel movie of the month with Mark is going to be, let me know, and I will reach out to you, and I will give you a little special surprise gift. It'll be really good. It'll be a little witch hunt or a little Easter egg hunt for this month's Spooktober. So I guess I'll leave you guys on that. This has been a really fun episode of Comtrack, where you'll never have to watch a movie alone again. I've been Tim.
I've been Sean.
And we'll see you for the next episode. Peace.